This is Donald Trump's worst nightmare. He's getting buried in bad news after bad news. He has trapped himself in his own scams, and the American people are seeing what's going on. Look at this generic poll of Democrats versus Republicans for the midterms. This is from Atlas Intel, the top pollster of 2024. They have Democrats leading 51 to 43%. What does Ipsos say about Donald Trump's polling right now? His approval is right around 41%. There are other polls that have him in the mid to high 30s. Donald Trump's approval is absolutely plummeting. What about Pam Bondi? Her negatives right now about 61% and rising. More information about Donald Trump's dark past is coming out as well, including a Midas exclusive that will be dropping very soon. Make sure you check this YouTube feed every 90 minutes because we're dropping exclusives today, including we've got the footage of the 1991 beauty pageant that Donald Trump held for 14-year-old girls, about 14 to 26, but many of them kind of 14 to 16 to 17. We've got photos, we've got videos of Donald Trump with these girls. It is absolutely disgusting. Other stories are resurfacing like this. Donald Trump would frequently comment on their genitals. Now Trump is accused of forcing models to walk on restaurant tables so he could stick his head under their skirts. Businesswoman Lisa Boyne branded the Republican presidential candidate disgusting and sexist after an alleged incident in 1996, and we're hearing more about these as well. Donald Trump has also filed a lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch, I guess his former best friend, and the Wall Street Journal. Donald Trump is suing for, get this, $10 billion. $10 billion is what he's suing for because he just makes up numbers, and Donald Trump says that his reputation was harmed. What reputation, you piece of crap? You're a felon. You've been found liable for sexual abuse. In a case, you're on audio saying that Epstein is a great guy. Epstein used Mar-a-Lago as one of the grounds where he found underage girls like Virginia Giuffre to sex traffic. How has your reputation been harmed? Donald Trump's like, I've never drawn pictures before. And the Wall Street Journal said I drew a doodle in the 50th birthday card that was allegedly sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Well, Donald, I think we're going to find out that the Wall Street Journal has the goods. Also, Donald Trump just lost his lawsuit against Bob Woodward from the publication of audio interviews between Woodward and Donald Trump in 2022. Donald Trump claimed he owned the copyrights to his voice in the interviews with Woodward. A Republican-appointed judge, Judge Gardafi, in New York, ruled against Donald Trump. A major court loss for Donald Trump. This at the same time that he's now suing the Wall Street Journal. If you just stand up to him the way Bob Woodward did and Simon & Schuster, which was at the time ironically owned by Paramount, but not anymore. If you just stand up to Donald Trump, he's going to lose over and over again. I would just find it interesting too what stories are being covered on the right and left wing. Florida GOP representative comes after House Wall Street Journal subscription, so the MAGA Republicans are basically pushing right now. All Republicans need to drop the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal's woke. This is being covered exclusively by right-wing media. No one on the left is covering this because it's absolutely insane. But I want to make sure I don't have a blind spot. That's why I'm letting you know that this story even exists. Also, the Trump regime has shut down civil rights work. And civil rights work is slowing as Trump dismantles the Department of Education. Right-wing media is not covering that at all. And I use ground news in my research to give you that data right there. It's essential to cutting through all of the bias in the media ecosphere. Go to ground.news/MTN, scan the QR code. I'm going to give our viewers 40% off right now of all of the tools that I use. That's their top tier Vantage plan. Ground News is subscriber funded. They don't rely on ads that can introduce bias. Subscribing supports our channel and their independent team working to keep the media transparent. We like media transparency. Go to ground.news/MTN or scan the QR code. Get 40% off the Ground News plan that I use for my research. Let's get back into it, folks, right now. Take a look at some of the economic data that we're seeing right now. Inflation is surging. You know that if you've had a barbecue recently or you've gone to a store to purchase food, you probably have noticed that orange juice is up 54%. Why would orange juice be up? I don't know, maybe because Brazil is the #1 exporter of orange juice to the United States, and Donald Trump's declaring a trade war against them, trade war against Mexico, trade war against all of these countries. The effective tariff rate, when you pretty much average it across all countries, is somewhere in like the 19+% rate. That's not good. That's a massive spike that's going to have catastrophic consequences. Oh, by the way, ground beef, the average price of a pound of ground beef rose to $6.12 in June, up nearly 12% from a year ago, according to U.S. government data. The average price of all uncooked beef steak rose 8% to $11.49 per pound. And again, we're seeing that across the board right now, and it's not a shocker with Trump's tariffs against the world. I mentioned Brazil. It should be noted that one of the reasons that Donald Trump says he's tariffing Brazil 50% is because he wants the government to release Jair Bolsonaro, the criminal who tried to do an insurrection. There in Brazil, they took care of business. They got this guy arrested and locked up pretty quickly, and they saw that he may be trying to flee the country. So they've got an ankle bracelet on him, and they're barring him now from speaking to foreign officials because Brazilian officials thought that he was coordinating with the Trump regime to try to maybe flee Brazil. I mean, yes, crooks hang out with crooks. Donald Trump and Jair Bolsonaro.
Mr. President, why not go further than just unsealing this?
Mr. President, did you send that letter? Release the full file.
As Mr. Toyota, Mr. Honda, and he would do like a weird Japanese accent. That's he refers to the...
But he spoke totally fluent Japanese. I said, that's very impressive. And he was introducing me to Mr. Honda. I said, oh, are you in the car business? He goes, yes. I said, you're a very rich man. And then he said, Mr. Toyota, right? Toyota. And I said, what business are you in? Let me guess. He said, cars. He was my interpreter. And I was so impressed. And I was getting ready to leave. He said, sir, I'd like to run for the United States Senate. I said, where are you from? He said, Tennessee. I said, well, I love Tennessee, but do they know you there? No, but if you endorse me, I'll win, right?
I said, that's very impressive. And he was introducing me to Mr. Honda. I said, oh, are you in the car business? He goes, yes. I said, you're a very rich man.
And how did Epstein talk about Trump? Sort of what was the quality of those anecdotes and how he described him?
Well, there was a time when he mentioned that he had to check in on him because he was unwell and very upset about something that had happened. I remember because he was late to pick me up and he was explaining why he was late. They were just, it was such a long time ago, but it was just that was his bro, that was his wingman. It was clearly, I'd hear about Ghislaine and I'd hear about Jeffrey. And I met Ghislaine in his house. She would come wafting in and out, the home in New York. So he was clearly just someone that he talked about all the time. And again, I met Jeffrey the second time and we started dating based on the reintroduction that happened at the Plaza Hotel at a Christmas party in 1992 that Donald Trump threw. And they were very, very close.
Just, it was such a long time ago, but it was just part of that was his bro, that was his wingman. It was clearly, I'd hear about Ghislaine and I'd hear about Jeffrey. And I met Ghislaine in his house. She would come wafting in and out. The home in New York. So he was clearly just someone that he talked about all the time. And again, I met Jeffrey the second time and we started dating based on the reintroduction that happened at the Plaza Hotel at a Christmas party in 1992 that Donald Trump threw. No, they were very, very close. And again, make sure you check back on the Midas Touch exclusive where I'm going to go through these beauty pageants. I'm going to go through Donald Trump's relationship with this guy, John Casablancas, who died in 2013 of cancer. But Casablancas sexually assaulted a 15-year-old girl. He made her his girlfriend, a 15-year-old, ran elite model agency and management, and Trump's partnered with elite model management, and elite had all of the sexual abuse going on. So there's not only the Trump Epstein connection, there's the Trump Casablancas connection, and then Casablancas then left his wife, not just for the 15-year-old girl, but then for a 17-year-old girl also. And, horrific stuff, but we've done a deep research. I found the video that you probably will never see anywhere else, of what was going down in 1991. And the video is shocking, to say the least. So I'm going to explore Trump Casablancas, Trump Epstein, Trump Ghislaine Maxwell. We'll focus on it all here, of course, folks. And I still want to focus on the economy, of course. I still want to focus on the fact that there's 100 people missing. In Texas, still 120 deaths, more than 100 deaths, more than 100 people still missing. And the head of the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says this has been a perfect response. FEMA's doing great work. They're not. What are you talking about? I don't want to lose sight of what happened, the flash floods. You're not activating urban search and rescue for 72 hours, shutting down your call centers and not paying for it. So people couldn't get a hold of FEMA, firing 6 of the key National Weather Service personnel, including the key meteorologist coordinator. That's not good. I mean, that's horrific. And then at a local level, buildings camp in a flood zone, which has never been built, not accepting some of the warning systems, taking $10 million from the Biden administration from warning systems, but using it to line your own pockets and give bonuses instead of where it was supposed to go for the warning system. It would have taken 4 minutes for those young girls at Camp Mystic to get up to the top of mountain. They called that mountain God Mountain. It would have taken 4 minutes. And this was a failure at local, state, and federal government. That's what happens when you run MAGA, and they hate government and everything's woke. We don't like science. We don't like woke. Stuff like that happens. We just need to wake up and be smart and focus on life and helping people. What the hell? Well, hit subscribe.